Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 507
507.
of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. Pixar Fest at Disneyland Resort kicks off on April 26th. That's in next week, actually. And Tiana's Bayou Adventure will open at Magic Kingdom this summer. There's a lot to see and do in the Disney realm.
Yes, the Disney realm.
So check out MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
Also in the cruising realm.
And in the
Universal realm, too.
Yes, all the realms.
Yes.
So check out MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, and they can get you a no-obligation quote.
So we're going to start bright and early at Disney's Contemporary Resort. We're going to talk about Steakhouse 71 for breakfast. We went twice for breakfast over the last month or so, and we're going to talk about our experiences.
And we have not been here for breakfast before. We have been here for, I think, lunch.
And I did
times.
a dinner. I did a dinner.
But we hadn't done breakfast, and we had heard good things, and we finally made a reservation, and then we made another one because
we liked it so much, but we wanted to have more to talk about than just our first entrees.
Because it's only the two of us.
So we're looking around. The bar, of course, not open. It's very early. This was at, I believe it was 7 a.m. We had a very early breakfast booked. We wanted to get in there without a big crowd. I always love the artwork that they have at the restaurant. It really gets you in the classic Disney mode,
yes,
so to speak.
Well, I really like the whole lobby. I like what they did with the lobby with the Mary Blair but also just hearkening back to the old days of Walt Disney World.
And speaking of the old days, this location was a location for many, many years that was an arcade. And it was the first shooting gallery they ever had that, where you shot not actual pellets, but light. And, you had animation. You remember? I'm sure you remember.
I spent tons of time there. They used to have a place you'd get food and, refillable mug back when they said that it was, you could bring it back forever. Yes, and they did say that. But that wasn't the case. So anyway, it was really such a fun place for me to grow up.
So we're going to look here at the menu. Lots of good choices here. The 4 items I think we had were Walt's Prime Rib Hash, Steakhouse 71 Pancake, Steak and Eggs, and what was the other one?
The other one was a veggie omelet.
That's right. That was the last one.
One of the items I ordered.
And I think we tried orange juice once. We tried, I had coffee. I think you had
just iced tea and water.
Okay.
We talked
there's
about
the iced tea,
yes.
And there's the coffee. That reminded me right there. I like that they give you a nice little pot.
Right.
And we're going to start off with my favorite of all the entrees. It's the steak and eggs.
And that's only $21, which I think is very reasonable for what it is. And includes 2 eggs and breakfast potatoes. And what did you think?
I thought it was delicious. It was great for sharing. This meal, our first meal, I thought was a better meal because we split the steak and eggs, and then you had the pancakes, and we split that. So it really felt like a good variety on this day, splitting.
And it was medium, and you can see there's a char on top. And
perfectly cooked, yeah.
It was perfectly cooked and delicious, and I think really almost a bargain. I ended up, they have seasonal pancakes. I think there was 2 types of pancakes, but I ordered the chocolate chip, a really decent sized portion. I thought it was $15, although, value-wise, the steak and eggs, I think for $6 more is a better value, but I really wanted to break it up a little bit, and these were delicious, and it comes with a side, and it doesn't have to be bacon, I believe sausage, and then pork sausage, so pork or chicken sausage.
So this is on our second trip now. This was the Walt's hash?
Walt's Prime Rib Hash.
Prime Rib Hash. And it was delicious, but it was very decadent. Afterwards, I felt it was a bit greasy for me. It was great. I enjoyed it, but I would have liked to have maybe a little something with it that was healthier.
Right. It includes like fried potatoes, and then like that egg on top. Like it really isn't. It isn't something for me. Like I like the little food bits, the little steak bits, but that was it. And I ordered the veggie omelet, which was delicious. It was huge. Like it was really big.
Yeah, in this video clip, you can't tell how. It was very, very big.
And it comes with spinach, mushrooms, tomato, Swiss. I didn't get any cheese on it. And then breakfast potatoes, which I prefer my breakfast potatoes to your breakfast potatoes. I like nice big chunks.
Well, these are like the Poly ones. Remember when we'd go
Right,
to the Polynesian
right.
for breakfast?
We still go to the Polynesia every so often.
And we're looking at some of the vintage artwork as we are about ready to wrap up our experience. But I have to say, I did enjoy it. I'm glad we did 4 different entrees. I know what I'll get when we go back. Here's a shot of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with no Space Mountain. A lot of great artwork. And I should also mention, in this very location where we were sitting was the Mickey Mouse Club, which was a childcare place, and my parents checked me in there in the 70s, so I stayed there.
I never got checked in there.
So afterwards, we decided to go over to the Magic Kingdom bright and early, and they have recently, because they've switched to just one parade a day, they have the Adventure Friends Cavalcade going on in the morning, well, early hours.
In the morning.
What did we see, 11 o'clock or 11:30, something
like that? I think it was 10, I don't have it in front of me, 10 something and 11 something. So late morning.
So here it is. I had a great location, and we are going to check out the Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade. Bit of a tongue twister. I think this is great. This is my favorite of all the cavalcades. You don't have many cavalcades anymore. Now things are kind of back to pre-pandemic with full parades and things, but it's nice that you still have this in addition to the Disney Festival of Fantasy Parade.
And this is in the morning because Disney Festival of Fantasy is currently 1 parade a day. Before, when it was 2, you'd have Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade in the evening. Well, like around 5 o'clock time.
Right. The later hours.
Yes. So, Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade started a couple of years ago, and it has the most characters of any cavalcade that Walt Disney World has ever done. And I think it's almost 30 cavalcade performers, including characters. There's a lot of characters in it.
And you're seeing different characters. They swap them out a lot. I see Raya up there, and Merida is to be seen here.
Well, they don't swap them out so often, but like Bruno took the place of Mirabelle.
Right.
And so I think Mulan at one point was where Raya is before Raya was there. Mm-hmm. So every so often they will, bring a new character in. So it would be nice. Maybe we'll see Asha up there at some point.
That would be very nice. I see Moana. I remember Moana was also up at the top of that previous float.
Right. Oh, maybe it was Moana, not Mulan.
I think so.
Yeah. So
Mulan was on where Bruno was when they first brought her.
Yeah,
See, we've seen so many. That's what I'm saying. We've seen so many incarnations. There is Pocahontas. There is Mulan. And Bruno. I remember when they first brought in Mulan, it was a big deal, and it was very exciting.
For the parade.
Yes. Right? And they had her up at the Bruno location.
Mm-hmm.
And Maribel also.
And you have Pocahontas. You can tell it's a warm day out. Nobody's in their winter clothing. It felt like we went from winter to summer very quickly.
Yes. That's how it always is around here.
I think every year is a little different, but just weeks ago we were super cold.
And how awesome. It's Marie. You have Stitch, you have Bert and Mary Poppins. What a great lineup.
And you've got Jose and Panchito.
Yeah.
So really, really a fantastic cavalcade and well worth seeing.
So now we are going to turn our attention to Disneyland Paris. There was a big event last week for the Disneyland Paris anniversary, April 12th. We had one of our correspondents, Roni from DLP Licious, was in attendance. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the announcements made.
But Roni wasn't, they didn't allow for recording, so, this is official video.
Right, this is video that they provided a replay afterwards.
And Disneyland Paris President Natasha Rafalski here is wearing the Disney Electrical Sky Parade shirt. And
Must have been a clue of the first announcement.
And they announced that it will be extended. Originally, it would have ended in September, but it's going to be extended till January 6, 2025. We saw it 5 times this past trip.
And that says a lot, because normally we don't stay out in the later times, but this was the best ever drone show that I've seen.
It was wonderful. And Alice and the Queen of Hearts Back to Wonderland will be opening on May 25th, 2024. That's at Walt Disney Studios Park. It's going to be a very high energy show, and we've seen a little bit of that.
Well, we're going to see in a second. Speaking of that, and here you can look, the Lights Motors action stage is being transformed in this little clip here.
It's going to be a very unique show. I mean, we're going to show just a little bit of what it looks like, but very colorful.
I heard there's BMX bikes involved.
There's BMX,
stunts.
Yes. And also you can see Alice and the Queen of Hearts here, and they're very unique outfits. And we're hearing this song. I think it's called Welcome to Wonderland, which is, again, everything is unique. It's going to be colorful. It's going to be high energy.
I will link to it. We actually were able to show the preview that you're looking at now, but if you want to hear the song, we'll link to that.
And Disney says it's a colorful pop rock face-off featuring Alice and the Queen of Hearts. And it just looks intriguing. And it looks like, it could go really well, or it could, sort of like Moulin Rouge, the movie. It was so good, but it could have been so bad. So I'm hoping it'll be so good.
And here are some of the actual costumes that we'll be seeing during the show.
Right, Mad Hatter, White Rabbit, Alice. It looks like we've got the March Hare back there.
Queen of Hearts.
Right. So these are all, Disneyland Paris is really big on costuming and entertainment and music and such. So it should be very interesting.
And now it's time for some of the big announcements.
Right. Imagineering's Tom Fitzgerald sat down with Natasha Rafalski and talked about all that's coming, including Disney Adventure World, which will be the name of Walt Disney Studios Park. It is not yet. And so much more.
Well, Walt's original promise for Disneyland was that it would, in his own words, always be building and growing and adding new things. With his motion pictures, he was often frustrated by the fact that once he released it to Technicolor to make the prints, he couldn't change it, and there were things he wanted to change. But Disneyland, by contrast, was something that could evolve and change with time. And we've certainly continued that promise of making changes to all our parks, including, of course, here at Disneyland Paris.
Like adding a second gate, for example, right? Walt
Exactly.
Disney Studios Park. Talk a little bit about the evolution of that park.
Sure. Well, the current Walt Disney Studios Park, which opened in 2002, was based on the interest and fascination with looking behind the scenes to see how motion pictures and television magic was created. And the park was built in a time period when that story wasn't really being told very broadly.
So, but as you said earlier, things change and evolve.
They sure do. And pretty soon there were television shows and DVD extras, remember DVDs, magazines, and so much more that covered in really, really great depth that story. And so in turn, that story became less unique and in a sense less magical for our guests. Those making of stories have over time given way to more immersive adventures that keep the magic, magical.
So for our park, when do you think that turning point came?
I think Tower of Terror, really departed from shows and sound stages boxes to an adventure in the story itself. It's obviously incredibly immersive and thrilling. And that was followed by Toy Story Playland, where guests were immersed in an entire land dedicated to Toy Story, and where you were given the sensation of shrinking down to toy size and experiencing the world from a fun new perspective. The world of Remy and Ratatouille came next, again, placing you in a scale adventure, being the size of Remy. And all of those projects, I think, led the way to the transformation that we're in now.
So earlier I mentioned that we're currently going through an unprecedented transformation and expansion of the Walt Disney Studios Park.
And it's an expansion was going to roughly double the footprint of the existing park.
That's right. But we also wanted to enrich the concept of a stay at our resort, making it a 360-degree experience thanks to two different and complementary parks. That was our business objective.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about how Imagineering translated that into storytelling.
Okay. The original Disneyland story was based, as were many of the films that Walt Disney was creating at that time, on books. And the land themes of the park were based on kind of literary genres. So you had adventure stories, you had westerns, you had science fiction, and of course, fairy tales. And these iconic lands, which we still have today, were not based on a single story. They were rather based on a backdrop that could provide service a number of different stories in what we call at Imagineering our castle parks around the world. So a castle courtyard could become a portal to Peter Pan and Snow White and Pinocchio and other stories, or a western town could host a runaway mine train or steamships or even a haunted house. These thematic settings continue to allow us to add new attractions and shows in the appropriate lands with amazing flexibility. Walt was very astute.
I know that you've said many times that Disneyland Paris has the most beautiful castle park in the world.
I have.
Which to me is obvious, but...
Well, I think all of our castles around the world are beautiful and unique, but I'm biased. I think Disneyland Paris has the most beautiful castle we've ever created, right? No contest.
So now let's talk about how the Studios Park is differentiated from the Castle Park, as you call it.
Right. In our Studios Park, the original story structure wasn't based on literature, but obviously on motion pictures and TV shows in two distinct realms. The first is the world of Hollywood, with its famous Hollywood Boulevard and all of the theaters. And the second are the studios, the dream factories where the stories come to life within sound stages and backlot settings. And those settings provide a simple organization around the where and how it's done story could be told. In a studio or movie park, the castle is represented by the grand movie palaces or movie theaters. So the movie theater becomes the icon which represents that portal that takes you into the stories and worlds and the adventures of the imagination.
Got it. Explain a little bit more then how this transforms the storytelling of our park.
Okay. Well, today we are changing the story of the Walt Disney Studios Park. We're moving away from the how it's done sound stages to celebratory theaters and immersive worlds that will come to life all around you. Within the park, much of the placemaking will now take its cue from a beloved film or franchise, and these adventure worlds are going to become the focus of the park's new identity and appear as realms where our guests can discover deeply as they move throughout the park.
We know this. There's nothing better than fully immersing guests into another realm or world. It's what we love to do here at Disneyland Paris. So how is this new story going to be reflected in the organization of that park?
Well, the park will be organized around two major themes, again, but this time celebration and immersion. In the front of the park, we're going to focus on the celebration of Disney films and TV shows in their world premieres, on stage and in theatrical productions. And then in the second portion of the park, guests will be invited into and be completely immersed in fully realized worlds to participate in adventures that are inspired by our most beloved stories.
So tell us about how the new story begins.
Well, it begins where all the stories of Disney begin, at the Walt Disney Studios. And when I say that, I mean all of the studios that are a part of Disney. That piece of our story takes place in the familiar entry courtyard of our park, but no longer are we in the past. The time frame is now, it's contemporary. The music, the cast costumes, the graphics will all be contemporary, and we want all of you guests to know that right away that our story has changed.
And where do we go from here?
So, when a new film is completed, how does it get introduced in the world? It's most often done with a big Hollywood world premiere. You know, a celebration in a movie theater in Hollywood with all the glitz and the glamour that a red carpet event can provide. And in our transformation of the current Studio One space, we are capturing the excitement of such a world premiere celebration. And with theatrical lighting and illusion, our Hollywood Boulevard will now be forever in that magical nighttime look of a world premiere.
So it's not going to be anymore a soundstage where a movie is being filmed.
That's right. And of course, no premiere would be complete without a classic garden party that would follow. And so ours is going to take place in a new, beautiful Hollywood Gardens restaurant where you can dine under the stars, like a star. And then just beyond that is our icon, the Grand Disney Movie Palace. And it will beckon you and transform you from Hollywood Boulevard out into our theater district to continue your adventure.
So we're enormously proud of the theatrical productions in Walt Disney Studios Park, you know, from Mickey and the Magician to our more recent Together, a Pixar musical adventure. We know our guests really love our Broadway-style shows that offer, entertainment like nowhere else. So it's really one of the things that sets a visit to Disneyland Paris, apart.
They're fabulous. And these shows will now be anchored along a beautiful street with shade trees, inviting new kiosks, And we will bring this beautiful new world premiere plaza to life with bold graphics that celebrate the shows as you might find if you were in Broadway in New York City or in the West End in London.
I'm glad you mentioned the trees, because
glad to.
adding more lush landscaping to this park it's a big part of the transformation, right?
It is. I mean, who doesn't love trees? With Avengers Campus, I think we added about 167 trees, and you're going to see incredible gardens and landscaping throughout the new expansion. I think we have over 112,000 trees and shrubs that we'll be planting. And that gives me a good transition to what I want to talk about next. From our theater district, our guests can travel down a new garden walk that features several distinct garden areas. First is Toy Story Garden, inspired by the color and the fun of being in Andy's backyard. This will also give you a new access into Toy Story Playland. Next is a garden with a gazebo for live entertainment and character meet and greets and so much more. And then there's one of my favorites, which is the Tangled Garden, which features the Réponse Tangled Spin, where you can, under a beautiful night sky of lanterns, enjoy a new spin on a classic tale. But within each of these gardens, beautiful flowers and landscaping will offer a colorful path that will take you all the way down to Adventure Bay, which is our brand new 70,000 cubic meter water body.
Which is going to be able to host a variety of entertainment offerings.
Absolutely.
So Adventure Bay becomes a new type of hub for this park, right?
That's
and
right.
It's going to absolutely change the entire look and feel of the park.
It will, and as fitting for this new hub, we have our premium dining experience, the Regal View Restaurant and Lounge, and this will be the perfect spot for fine dining and drinks, along with a chance to meet some of your favorite princesses.
I'm sure most of you in the audience have seen the amazing construction that's taking place in this area of the park. Let's take a look at some of the recently captured footage of our construction.
Can't wait.
Exciting. Exciting. So Adventure Bay is going to be the future heart of the park with wonderful entertainment possibilities. And of course, across the water is going to be our next immersive world.
That's right. Arendelle and the world of Frozen is coming to life across the bay and will feature our classic Frozen Ever After adventure, a chance to meet Anna and Elsa in a very royal setting, dining at the Two Crowns Tavern, shopping, and very, very special entertainment. I mean, this project is a huge undertaking. The North Mountain alone will have some 400 tons of steel inside. It's going to be absolutely spectacular.
We're absolutely thrilled with the reaction our guests have had with Avengers Campus, which was our first major expansion land in this transformation. And now we know they're going to be even more thrilled with this new world of Frozen. This new area of the park is going to be, designed with expansion in mind for the future.
Yes, there's a lot of room to grow in our future, and our Imagineering team right now is at work on the next immersive world. Walt Disney said Disneyland will never be completed, and I think we're proving that that philosophy applies to this park as well. In fact, by the time we complete all of our work, more than 90% of the park will have been transformed. Quite a bit.
It's amazing. So thank you, Tom. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today at such a special time and share with our audience the storytelling of both this park and our Disneyland Park. With its new creative vision, we know that this park will hold a unique position in our resort. It is the most ambitious, symbolic expansion program since its opening in 2002. And for all these reasons, this park is going to feel brand new. So talking about new, let's have one last look at a change we'll be making once World of Frozen will open its gates.
And at this point, the new name for the park was revealed for the very first time. It is Disney Adventure World.
I will say, when I saw it on Twitter, because Disney sort of released it by accident.
Right.
They leaked it themselves, and then all of a sudden it's all over Twitter, and I'm like, is that a joke? You know, but at the same time, like...
After hearing all
it's
that,
okay.
it does make sense.
Yeah, it's fine. But it was just funny because I'm like, that can't be right.
Yeah, it was really better to have all the build up in the context of it. So now it makes sense, you know, the different worlds.
Right.
You know, we have the world of Frozen. I look forward to the announcement of some of the other worlds that'll be around Adventure Bay.
And I mean, you've got Disneyland. So it's not like it's that different,
Right.
you know, Disneyland versus Disney Adventure World. So.
I think one of the big things is more dining. You know, the two at least two nice sit down restaurants. There's a princess type dining experience. There's the Frozen experience, and then they mentioned dining under the stars. So there's quite a bit, which is much needed.
Well, the Regal View restaurant is what I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be like an Art Nouveau restaurant with the Disney Princess dining.
So afterwards, Roni attended this special red carpet event here at Studio One. And Studio One, of course, is one of the first changes that'll be happening. And
it's going to start this month.
Very soon,
it's going to close.
So he got to meet the one last fling, I guess you could say, on the red carpet here with the old theme. You have Mickey and Minnie dressed in their movie-making attire. I see Mickey has a film camera back there. I love that they did this. This was a really great way to say goodbye to the original studio theme.
And Minnie's outfit looks like the Minnie's Big Band, or Mickey's Big Band.
Yes.
Which was amazing.
It was.
And that lasted, I think, just a couple of years here, but it was just one of the best shows.
Well,
and
if we ever make it out to Tokyo, I believe it is still playing there.
Yeah, it may be. I haven't even followed it. It was just nice that we got to go to Disneyland Paris and see it several times.
And we saw it as much as we could that trip. So that was, I'm very glad. This was great, by the way. This looks like a really nice event here. And I think there's going to be some other characters making an appearance.
And we did say our goodbyes to Studio One.
We did.
And took photos and such to kind of document it.
Yeah,
we
both took some time. I'm going to put out, as soon as it closes, I'll put out a video retrospective of a full tour of it. And
There's Donald.
Yeah, there's Donald. And one thing about this area is the food always left something to be desired. We've tried dining a couple times, so I'm hoping this Dining Under the Stars improves the fine dining of Studio One.
It's so funny because there was this terrible burger that they've had, and it may still be there, just recently, you know, like a special one, and everybody complained about it, and yet everybody bought it. And I'm like, go to
You have
Rosalie.
to experience it to yourself to realize how bad it is.
Like 21 euros for the menu. It's like you can go to Rosalie and get a nice menu for a table service there.
Look at this. Oswald even making an appearance, going back all the way to the beginning.
And when Oswald gets to his location, it's the same location that we saw.
The backdrop,
when we did the pass holder, annual pass holder pop-up surprises.
You're right. They seem to have all the same. Well, I would have to say
this one is.
This one definitely is, but the one with Mickey and Minnie, I think, is unique.
No, I didn't
That's
think,
unique to this event.
Well, they never did pop-up surprises. So, but
Correct,
Oswald
that's
did. And Hortensia as well.
This looked like a lot of fun. Roni said he had a really great time. They had some nice champagne. They had entertainment. And again, we're going to look at some shots from above, looking down at Studio One last time. I'm excited, though. I think it'll be a very good change. The park really needed a big change, and I think these will certainly do that.
And I always liked Studio One, but I'm not like, it looks like it's going to be, you know, what's coming is going to be probably even better. So I'm really excited for the changes. Really, for almost every change that's coming, I'm looking forward to it. And, I mean, they're going to almost double the footprint of Walt Disney Studios Park. And when I first went to Walt Disney Studios Park, it was opening year. It was way less than it is now.
There was no Tower of Terror when you first
No,
went.
there was no, you didn't have the Ratatouille area. You didn't have the Toy Story Land. You didn't have Avengers Campus. You didn't have the Tower of Terror. There was almost nothing there. I don't even know how it opened as a park because there was so little, really. But there were a couple really fun shows. There was Cinemagique, Animagique. It's always been a great park for shows.
And, all this in addition to some of the new, or relatively new, with the Marvel and the Remy area. I mean, you add all that together, and I think you're going to get a great park.
It is. And, I don't think it's a terrible park now. They've got so many great shows.
The shows are
really
amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and the Ratatouille area is great. But, I've said before, like, if they could take the Ratatouille area and make more of the park that quality, and I think that's what's coming. So much of the park will be that quality or more once it fully is open.
And I said much needed dining, because that's a real problem right now in the park. There's not a lot of options for dining.
There really never has been, right? But they do have the like the Livre Gourmand and the Summer Gourmand as well. That at least they have the booths.
They're going to
really
need that.
helps.
They're going to need that full time while this transition is happening.
And it's almost full time now, but I assume they're not going to put those booths away now, but we'll see.
So that is another show. We want to thank our sponsor, MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel.
Yes, head to their site and fill out a no obligation quote. There's so much that will be coming. We don't know as far as Disneyland Paris when the World of Frozen and all that will open. There's no date announced. There's no
Not
time
even
frame.
a year.
No, we don't know. I hope it will be sometime later next year, but we'll see. But there is, stuff going on here again, Pixar Fest, and that's just about to start at Disneyland. And here you've got Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and of course the normal stuff. You're going to have the Food and Wine Festival and
Lighthouse Point.
Lighthouse Point, Disney Cruise Line, right? That's about to open. And just so much.
And before you know it, Denise, it'll be August.
No,
What does August mean?
Halloween.
Halloween!
Unless they change it, because look, the Flower and Garden Festival's a little shortened this year.
You think we're going into July for Halloween?
No, I said shortened.
But
probably not shortened. Because I think it
candy
sells pretty well.
will melt.
I was saying maybe September instead, but I don't think so.
So anyway, thanks again for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.